The night is quiet in the Shuriman Desert. The only sound is the sputtering of the last embers in the dying campfire. A flock of tiny tents huddle around a reddish glow, the fire's remains, trying desperately to ward off the cold and darkness that pressed in around them. But the sun brought no relief, for the dry and blistering heat of Shuriman days could bring even the toughest to their knees. This was the world that the child named Malzahar was born into. A harsh life of baking hot days and terribly cold and dangerous nights. But this child was destined for great things, for he was born a seer. But like all seers throughout history, while Malzahar was lauded for his gifts, he was himself tortured by its possibilities. In his mind he saw all that he knew, his family, his friends, his whole tribe, wiped out in a cataclysm of monstrosities, and a voice telling him, Ikathia beckons. Ikathia, that name he knew only from legends, a lost land of magic and ancient secrets. And so, knowing only that he needed to find it, he set off alone into the desert, with no supplies and only the clothes on his back. Days later, his feet cracked and bloody, half delirious from the sun and lack of food and water, he stumbled upon something. A crumbling ruin carved with images of strange geometry and ancient, sleeping, terrible gods that seemed to writhe even as Malzahar stared at them. And then they spoke to him. Tendrils of thoughts not his own snaked their way through the young seer's mind, slicing through his terror and making a once free mind into something chained and totally enthralled. Gone was Malzahar the seer. Come forth was Malzahar, the Void Prophet. And what was this new hybrid of man and void's first act? To bring forth the unholy voidlings he now commanded and slaughter his one-time family. Men, women, children, even his own mother and father were cut down and devoured by the horrendous creatures. His past obliterated, the Void Prophet turned his attention north, to the rest of Runeterra. But even as he was to bring his might to bear against the civilized realms, he found himself stopped. For another knew the secrets of the Void, another had searched for them. Kassadin. Once a humble research assistant in Piltover, Kassadin had found his way to Ikathia just as Malzahar had done. Like Malzahar, the Ikathian Void presence had given him tremendous power. However, unlike him, Kassadin had emerged from the psychic attack with his sanity firmly in place, and dead set on opposing the emergence of the malevolent Void, wherever that might be. There are as many theories as to why Kassadin was able to withstand the Void while Malzahar was not. Perhaps Malzahar's gifts had made him weaker, more vulnerable. Perhaps Kassadin had been better prepared. Or perhaps Kassadin had something Malzahar did not: love. For while Malzahar had been loved by his family, as a seer he was always set apart, never allowed to be truly near anyone. But Kassadin had a daughter, a true meaning to his life, an anchor that kept his heart beating for this world, even as the Void sought to consume him. And so when the two met, it was obvious to both that there would be no peace, no quarter between them. They would be enemies for all time. Many battles have been fought between these two and their followers, the Cult of the Void and the Preservers. Eventually Malzahar found and captured Kassadin's daughter, sealing her away in the Void. This leads to a split, which is a common thing in the lore, especially about the Void. The timeline splits here, with on one side Kassadin continuing his fight against Malzahar all the harder, and both of them continuing their vicious hatred for one another for all time. In the other, darker timeline, Kassadin gives in to the Void, for he has lost all that matters to him, and the Void and Malzahar remake him as a vanguard of the eternal night of Runeterra, a harbinger of unknowable evil. Join me tomorrow when we will explore the Void's first creations, Rek'Sai and Cho'Gath.